Hi, welcome to Vox Talks. My name is Edgar Sanchez, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to get into Warhammer, specifically Warhammer 40K. It's a tabletop miniature game that I have a lot of passion about. I've been playing for around 2 years, and one thing I'm really excited to share with you all is just how do you really kind of take this very intimidating thing from the outside looking in, like maybe, hey, I'm not a painter, or hey, I don't like Legos, I can't build this stuff, or hey, just how much strategy and effort do I actually have to put into learning and figuring this game out? Well, the answer to that question is yes. You see, ultimately, there's a couple different things to consider that I'm going to help hopefully make it easier for anybody watching this video to understand when it comes into how do you get into Warhammer 40K. So, step number 1, find a local hobby store and a place to play. Now, before we get into the army and what types of games you want to play and all of these other really kind of deep dive intricate things, I think the most important thing to figure out first is understanding what is your local scene like. And by that, I mean, are there certain nights dedicated to the miniature game that you're looking to play? For example, in this instance, Warhammer 40K. In my immediate area where I live in Raleigh, actually, one of the most popular stores doesn't have a dedicated night to Warhammer 40K. Instead, they play Warhammer 30K, which is like a precursor game. Has some kind of old school rules and has a really popular fan base. And then additionally, when you do talk about kind of understanding how to find a store and what makes a good store is how engaged is the local community with actually having organized play. And by organized play, I don't mean tournaments. We're not talking about anything like that. I just mean a place where you know that if I could show up on Tuesday nights, I'm going to get a random pickup game. Or maybe there's a league that I can look forward to playing and joining in. So, with all of those things listed out, the couple of things that I look for whenever I walk into a new store and I'm trying to determine if this is the place where I'd like to play or not, I try to keep in mind for these 3 following things. Number 1, the play space. You may see a variety of stores that really come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Some stores are equipped to handle a variety of games and can fit a lot of people into it. If that's the type of store that I'm looking for, which in my case I am, because Warhammer has a pretty significant footprint, then that's the first thing I'm looking for, is that I've got a good play space with ample area for me to play the game. Number 2, how active is the local Discord with that store? Almost every single hobby store that's across the country that I've come across has a Discord server that's really dedicated to all the different hobbies and spaces, from Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, of course, Gundam. There's so many different games and there's so many different hobbies. How active is that local Discord? I always love to see one that seems to be chatty and engaging, and the local community is really healthy. That's going to be this number 2 step that I keep an eye out for. Now, number 3, we're going to go ahead and kind of circle back to one of those earlier points, but how easy is it for me to actually find the time and space to play at this store? There's a lot of different hobbies that are out there for a lot of different people. Sometimes it almost feels like we're competing or almost fighting for that available space. And that's completely fair. I'd rather see packed stores than empty ones. But I'd like to make sure that the store I'm playing at either lets me reserve tables ahead of time, has a dedicated night for the hobby that I'm looking to play in, and then going back to that number 3rd one, just has enough space to fit the random pickup games. So, that's my first kind of main tip for how to get into 40K. Understanding where am I going to play and can I play there. Number 2, and this is probably the most intimidating thing for a lot of people, but how do you pick an army? There are so many different things that you're going to be told online, and you're going to hear and maybe consider a lot of different things. And I think one of the most practical rules that are out there, it's called the rule of cool. Simply put, you are going to spend a lot of time and energy and money invested into this hobby, invested into your first army. The things that you think are cool and the paint schemes you want to go with, that's what you're going to more likely be encouraged to actually keep up with and want to go ahead and paint and build and just commit all of the time that it takes to actually get this stuff done. So the rule of cool is great, but there are some caveats to it. You may have heard of a specific army called Imperial Agents. There's nothing wrong with this army on the surface. They look cool. They're basically the Secret Service or the FBI or the James Bond, if you will, or what some would say like the tyrannical government of the Warhammer 40k universe. And they technically have a dedicated army. However, if you ask anybody in the hobby, they'll let you know that they actually aren't an army, that they aren't very well supported by GW. And in fact, kind of buying them is almost a rookie mistake. So there's a couple of things to keep an eye out for before you do invest in a new army. And I don't know when you're watching this, so I want to make sure it's relevant for future viewers as well. Number one, is there a refresh coming soon for my army? For example, right now, we're in the summer of 2026, and the Grey Knights are very soon to be expected to have a refresh in their army. So what that means is I know all of these old models that have been around for maybe 10 plus years are due to get completely new sculpts. That means I probably don't want to buy them because there's also going to be a bunch of changes and adjustments. Now, don't let that completely deter you. If you want to run older models when things get replaced, it's totally not a big deal. Mainly, all you have to do is put them on the right base size, but we'll talk about that stuff later. Number 3, for when it comes to my rules with picking an army, have conversations with people who are actually in the scene. There are certain armies like Gene Stealer cults or Death Watch that actually have a pretty high skill gap. And what I mean by that is they're not really beginner friendly armies. They've got a lot of complex rules with a lot of complex timings. And if you're gonna spend the hundreds of hours it takes and the potentially thousands of dollars to get into it, you kind of want to make sure that you're playing with something that you're going to be comfortable with. So ask your local teams, ask your local store, ask your local stores if you can go ahead and just talk to people, say, hey, this is what I'm into. These are some armies that I think are cool. And actually, I want to take a huge step back. When you're in this beginning space, try to find actually a Games Workshop store. That's how I started, and it was an amazing experience. I can speak pretty positively to almost every single store I've been into, and I do think it's a great place to start for any beginner hobbyist. Number 3. Okay, congratulations. You have built your army. You've painted your army, maybe. And now you've officially gotten to the point where you've learned the game and you're really excited to get out there and play your first game. So what are 3 things that are most important before you go ahead and you play your first game? Number 1, setting expectations. Set expectations for yourself as well as for your opponent that this is your first game and that you're there to learn. You're not there to win, and most of all, you're there to have fun. Number 2, time management. There's a couple of things here that I can really talk about, and I don't want to go too much down the rabbit hole. But the reality of it is, this game takes a long time to play, even for seasoned vets. Ranked competitive matches on the world scale have a 2 hour and 45 minute time clock, which means I've got right around 3 hours to play this game from top to finish. And that's at the 1% level, the very best players in the world. You're not there. I'm not there. Most people aren't, and that's perfectly okay. This game is going to take probably 4 hours plus, especially when you're first beginning. But what can you do to help make sure that that time is actually cut down? Because I promise you, if you're spending 5-6 hours at the game store to get one game in, you're gonna get burnt out and you're gonna lose interest in the game. So here are some tips for making sure that you can help kind of manage that time clock. Number 1, know your rules. You don't have to have them all memorized, but you should be studying them. Learn things like, how far do my guys move? What are my abilities? And what are the unique things that my army does that I need to be conscious of? You're not going to be perfect the first 5, 10, 100 games. It takes time, but be conscious of it and start to put some practice in. Have your rules readily available. It's perfectly fine if you don't feel like giving GW the money to, pay for their monthly subscription. There's a variety of free resources out there that exist both from a mobile or a printed version, however you want to do it, so that way you've got access to your rules. So, I hope this video has been helpful. This was my first one. Leave comments, let me know what you think. I'm actually having a lot of fun here shooting with 2 different camera angles for the first time, and I hope the cuts aren't too nauseating. But I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you for coming to check out Vox Talks, and have a good day. Bye.